Good morning, friends. This is Pastor Ginny with the Daily Word. We are bringing it back for Advent, and our question each week for our clergy is going to be, how are you finding blank in the season of Advent this year? But we will fill in the blank with the title of the Advent candle that we lit the previous Sunday. And so we are starting off with the candle of peace. So our question is, how are you finding peace in this Advent season? I've been thinking about that. Advent just started, but I was thinking about it last week as well, knowing that I would need to record this. And I think my answer so far is that I am finding peace this Advent by leaning into the differences, leaning into the things that are not business as usual. And that surprised me as I reflected on it, because I am a person who likes stability. Like, don't we all like stability? But I am not a super spontaneous person. I am a person who finds comfort in routine and in ritual. I am the pastor of worship, so it makes sense that I would feel a lot of connection with ritual and tradition, right? And consider those to be grounding for myself. But as we all know, this year is one in which our rituals and our traditions and our rhythms of this season are at least somewhat disrupted. And so while there is grief that goes along with that, there is loss, and it's important to acknowledge that. I have been surprised by how much peace I have found even so far, even in a very pared down Thanksgiving compared to the celebration I would normally have with my dad's side of the family, where there's upwards of 30 of us. We obviously did not do that this year. But I have been finding peace in leaning into that difference. And I've been thinking about the verse, if you were present for worship yesterday, the verse that we read as we lit that first candle, which is Jesus speaking to his disciples in the Gospel of John. And he says those familiar words, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid." If we know the context of those verses, yes, we were reading this on the first Sunday of Advent, but in the context of the Gospel of John, Jesus says those words to his disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane, or rather on the Mount of Olives. He's on his way to the place where he will be betrayed, and then, we know all the events that lead up to his crucifixion. And so he's told them, I have to go away from you. I'm not going to be here anymore, and things are going to be really different. And the disciples, it's recorded for us a little bit, a few questions. I think the likelihood that they were freaking out much more than is recorded is high. But they're scared, and they have all these questions about, okay, well, we know our rhythms, we know our routines, we know our rituals, and we've been together this whole time, and you're our leader, and now you say you're leaving. So what are we supposed to do with that? How are we supposed to live? How are we going to know what to do? And those are Jesus's words to them about peace. I do not give to you as the world gives. That's the part that keeps sticking in my head. I think particularly, beginning with Black Friday, or even now kind of the whole month of November, but then particularly as we move into December, I think the world speaks to us of scarcity. But I think what we can trust in this season is an abundance of peace, and that Christ's peace does not depend on outward appearances. We may get into this false sort of mindset that it is our practices, it is our faithfulness to tradition and to ritual that create that peace. But what a good reminder this year that the peace of Christ is in no way dependent on us. And what a comfort to remember that the peace of Christ transcends all outward appearances, all of our routines, all of our ways of being together. However we might find them being disrupted this year, we can trust that the peace of Christ is greater. It's my hope for you that you are finding little peace in this first week of Advent. I would love for you to comment below the ways that you are finding that peace, and look forward to hearing from many others of our clergy staff this week. Thanks for starting your morning off with us.